I believe in one-stop listing appointments. Now, I know there are a lot of you out there who were taught to do two-stoppers. The challenge with a two-stopper is you go over, you meet the client, you do a little walkthrough, you build a little rapport, you take some copious notes, you head back to the office, you do your CMA, and a couple of days later you come back. The challenge with that model is it's a work-life balance issue. You really have to visit everybody twice to kind of get the commitment you're looking for. Now with a one-stop, I like to go in and 2 hours later I'm walking out with the listing at the price I want and the commission rate I want. One of the challenges though with a one-stopper is putting a price on something you haven't seen. So I was always taught to build ranges on stuff. If I got over there and the home wasn't as nice as I thought, then of course the price would be a little lower on the range. If it was a little nicer than I expected, it'd be a little higher on the range. If the seller wanted to sell it really quickly and be out of there, beat the market averages and wanted to be out right away, then the price would have to come down to attract a lot of buyers. If they had some time on their hands, for instance, maybe their new home wasn't going to be ready for 5 or 6 months and they wanted to get started with selling theirs, we could wait it out a little bit to get market value. At the same time, if all they wanted was an all-cash situation, clean offer, no conditions, then that's really going to bring the price down. On the other hand, if a seller would be willing to accept an offer that was conditional on financing and included a condition for a home inspection, and maybe even conditional on the sale of purchaser's property, they'd have to be paid a premium for the inconvenience of getting tangled up in the complexities of an offer like that. And then there are incentives. For instance, if there are no incentives, the price comes down. But remember the story I told you about me buying and selling. When I added the incentives in, the price went up. So there are different ways to put a price on real estate, and there are different things that can affect the sale price of a house. When I talk about incentives, we've included a list of incentives in this course for you. Now, if the market is slow and there's a lot of inventory, you're going to need a lot of seller incentives to make your listing really attractive. If the market's really busy and houses are selling very quickly and the days on the market are really low, then the incentives go down as well. So it's really about how do you pad out your listing to make it look really attractive to all the other agents and all the other buyer prospects who would be perfect for this house. Now, I also like when you add incentives into things, you're going to jump to the front of the line and your property is going to sell quick. And why do you like it when a property sells quick? Well, first of all, as a salesperson in the commission industry, you get paid quicker. Woohoo! Everybody loves that. You have fewer expenses. Now, what you may not realize is as the days on the market go down, your profitability goes up. The quicker you sell something, the more money you put in your pocket. And you're going to have a satisfied seller. And there's nothing like a happy seller to run around town and rave to everybody, creating referral opportunities for you and expanding your business. It's less inconvenient for you. You're not over there all the time holding your seller's hand as they make their way through the process. And of course, we have prospecting opportunities with our just sold cards that go out and they tell everybody in the neighborhood, look over here, we got the job done. You're thinking about doing it. You should talk to me. I just did it. So, and it also saves us time. And one of the, probably the most valuable commodity you have is your time. So we get it done faster. It's just better. We can be more efficient, more effective, and we can do more volume. You'll get a better return on the investments that you've made in your marketing. You have great advertising opportunities because you can tell everybody, look how great a job I've done. And on the other hand, it increases your credibility, not just with your client, but with all the other agents and the rest of the community. And it gives you better performance stats. So on the next listing appointment, you can tell them about how successful you are and how great you are and how quickly you can get the job done. Now, why does the seller like it when it sells quicker? Well, first of all, everybody likes to get things done. It reduces their inconvenience, and maybe you don't realize how inconvenient it is to have a house up for sale. You're seeing it from an agent's perspective, but that seller has to keep their house Pinterest ready in a moment's notice for someone to come through. And we all don't live like they live on a magazine cover, so you got to know it's inconvenient. They're really excited about the fact that they don't have to make their bed every day and do their dishes every day before they leave the house. No missed buying opportunities. How many times have you talked to a buyer who said, we would have bought that if we had had an offer on ours, and they missed out on something? So the sooner you get them into the market to buy, the happier they're going to be. And then there's the pride of sale. Think of it this way. When a sold sign goes up, it says to the neighbors, somebody likes the way we live. Somebody likes our lifestyle. It just validated who we are in terms of our decorating. It's really, a home is more than a house. It's really a reflection of who the people are that live in that property. And then there's peace of mind. Again, as a real estate professional, we often forget about this because we do it every day. But there's a lot of uncertainty here. And there's a lot of stress that goes along with selling a house. The sooner it's all buttoned up, the better it is for everybody. And then, of course, they have the freedom to focus on their future. They may not have moved yet, but their house is sold. So what do they do every weekend? They head out to look for new furniture, new ideas, new window coverings, whatever it is, but it's always about the new house. Now, I'm going to teach you one other little thing that I think is really valuable. If you're ever going through price and the seller doesn't get your CMA and the seller just isn't coming around to your price, another little technique I learned was to use a seller's net sheet. Now, I think net sheets are really important because I think a seller should know how much equity they're going to have after the dust is settled to use towards the purchase of the next property. But the secret to this technique is the purchase of the next property. We got to keep them connected to where they're going and keep them excited. So when somebody says, well, I just don't agree with your CMA, I'd say, well, let's take a minute and just see what this number nets us. Then you walk them through all the cost of the sale, and then you show them with what portion of what portion of their savings they would use towards the purchase of the next property, their equity, their mortgage ability. You put all of that together, and then you get them excited about where they're going. So when you can connect them to where you're going to find less resistance on where they are at.